Hello students, I was discussing note making in my previous audio presentation. I like to discuss some more important points in this audio presentation. This audio presentation will be short, a very short audio presentation it will be compared to the previous one, where I already discussed what is note making and the format structure also I have explained in my previous audio presentation. Even you can see it because I have uploaded this also in the Google Classroom side by side. You can see it from there. I'm just actually explaining in the form of an audio. I'm explaining it so that it becomes clear to you. So now let me clarify some more important things regarding note making. Now, what procedure you should actually adopt while writing a note in exam, or during the time of practicing note making? What exactly you should adopt, how you should proceed, right? What I'm trying to say is that how will you proceed? First one, read the passage provided. First and foremost important criteria, dear students, read the passage very carefully. If not once, then twice. If not twice, then thrice. Because unless and until you gather information related with the main concept or the main theme of the passage, you can't do note making. So my suggestion to you all is that read the passage very carefully, and then you extract the main theme of the passage, you extract the main points from the passage, then you frame it out separately. Then, because ultimately those main points and the main theme that you have marked from the passage, you have extracted from the passage, that will help you in the process of note making. So the first and foremost, dear students, read the passage provided. Next one, underline the important sentences. I just now told you about it. Extract the important words or important sentences. You might feel all the sentences, all the informations are very important in note making. But having said this, it is true, all the informations are there only, but you can't write all the informations. You have to be very selective. So the suggestion is that you have to take out the most important themes. You have to take out the most important points, and then you have to arrange those points, and then you have to use those points in the main note making format. So underline the important sentences with a pencil while you are reading it in the exam hall, or while you are practicing at your home. Always underline the important sentences. It helps to make headings and subheadings. You know why we say students to underline? Ultimately, it will help you while you will form the headings and subheadings or subheadings. At that time, it will help you. Make a rough note first so as to get an idea. Very important. Always make a rough draft. Make a rough note. I told you that directly don't write, because if you write directly, you might lose time and you have to cut it again and again. You can't make it fresh, right? You make it fresh later. First you prepare a rough draft. In the rough draft, you highlight the points. Then you make a sketchy account of it, what you are about to write. Make a rough of that. From there you make it fresh, because directly if you go on writing, if there is some mistake, then again you have to cut the entire thing. Two things will happen. Both will go against you. Number one, you will lose time in the exam hall, and number two, the entire presentation will be clumsy. I repeat, number one thing, you will lose time in the exam hall, and number two, the entire presentation will be clumsy. So my suggestion is that make a rough note or a rough draft. I guess you understood by the term rough draft. Make a rough draft. From there, you finally make it fresh. After dissecting it, after analyzing the entire theme of that passage, and after making a rough note, then finally with a cool mind you make it a fresh one. Otherwise, two things will happen. I like to say it one more time, because many students, they don't do it. Make a rough draft and then make a fresh draft. That number one, you will lose time in the exam hall, because if you cut it again you will write it, then you will lose time, and number two, the entire presentation will be clumsy. So please avoid these two things. In order to avoid these two things, it is better to make a rough draft. I am moving on to the next point. Organize them in logical order or sequence for the final note. Organize all the points. Assemble. Organize means to assemble. Assemble all the points in a logical manner or in a logical sequence for the final note. Assemble all the points. Assemble all the points in a logical manner or in a final sequence. Then you write it down fresh. Understood? First you organize them in a logical manner or in a proper sequence, and then after you have arranged it or assembled it in a logical manner or in a sequence, make a final note of that. Next point, use the appropriate note making format. There are many formats. If you see many guidebooks also, if you go on searching the net, you might find many formats for note making. Now instead of doing a thorough research on different formats, I suggest you all, very honestly, you go by one format only. There might be various ways of writing note making, but it is better you follow only one format. I have already solved some of the note making passages. You can follow that format also. Already I have uploaded previously in the Google Classroom, so from there also you can see it. There are many formats of note making. It is advisable that a student, instead of getting confused with several formats, a student should actually follow one format with which he or she is very comfortable with. Unless and until you are comfortable with the note making format, you can't do a note making. Now that is the reason let me clarify this point once again. Use the appropriate note making format. Exactly, use a very appropriate note making format. Do not change the idea or the message of the passage. Yes, very, very important. Don't change the idea. You have to be very, very cautious. What is the passage all about? You have to understand the inner meaning of the passage, underlying theme of the passage. And remember, do not change the idea or the message of the passage, because the passage, obviously it has a message, it has a proper theme. Now it is advisable as a student that you should not change the idea or the theme of the passage. In that case, you may not get good marks. Your marks will be deducted in that case. So do not change the idea or the message of the passage. Let it be uniform, let it be identical or similar with the main message of the passage. Whatever note making you are doing, let it be identical, let it be similar with the main message or the main concept of the note making passage. So now one more important thing, dear students, points to remember for note making format. Some important points you should always remember while you are doing note making. First one, very, very important. Avoid using long sentences as heading or title. Please, dear students, avoid using long sentences. Long sentences are not at all required. Please avoid long sentences or headings. This is the first and foremost important criteria. Criteria number 2. Never lose the main idea of the passage. Already it was been told by me. I am repeating it again because this is also one of the most important factor that you should keep in mind, like do's and don'ts, as you know. So never lose track. Never lose track from the main idea of the passage. The main idea, you should imbibe the main idea, and the most important thing is that you should follow the main idea of the passage, because if you lose track from the main idea of the passage, then I told you what will happen, your marks will be deducted. Ignore information which is less important. You might feel that this information is also important, or this information is also important. No, every information is there, but you have to extract, you have to take out the most important information. So in that case, you ignore those information which are less important. Every information is important, but among all the informations you have to select the most important information. I guess I am very clear. You have to select the most important information among all the informations, and most importantly you ignore those informations which are less important. Next point, be brief, clear and specific. Very important. This is, you should not write pages after pages in note making. That is totally, I am not advising you to do. So you have to be very logical, you have to be very clear, and most importantly you have to be very, very specific. Use logical sequencing. In a logical manner, you frame your note making structure in a very logical manner. Next one, use proper indentation, proper numbering. Proper indentation is required. Leave no spaces to avoid confusion. Please don't leave any spaces, because if you leave spaces it will create confusion. Do not include your own version or understanding. Don't use your own personal point of view. Please go by the passage, and also please abide by the message of the passage. Don't give your own personal viewpoints. If you give your own personal viewpoints, again marks will be deducted, and obviously examiner will be more confused. So in that case you will get less marks. So it's better you don't include your own viewpoint or your own version or your own understanding. It's better you write from the passage related with the main message of the passage. That will do. Second last point, very, very important. Use abbreviations. Symbols, abbreviations are a must. So that should be done in a box after you complete the main format. Remember, symbols, abbreviations carry marks. If you avoid it, if you don't write it, you will lose marks. So abbreviation symbols are very, very important. The last one, make your note more memorable by adding colors, drawings and symbols. Now, adding colors, drawings, it is not possible in an exam hall, but definitely symbols and abbreviations can be given. You can make it more presentable by designing it, by giving it a proper design, because presentation is very important. If you want to present it properly, you can give proper designs. Okay, then you can give an abbreviation properly by drawing a box with the help of a pencil. Then obviously the main points, sub points, sub points, that also you can beautifully highlight by designing it all. Okay, you can do it. Presentation you can make it proper, but remember, along with the presentation, the main message or the main theme of the passage should be written. Your note making format should deal with the main message of the passage or the main theme of the passage. You have to keep that one also in mind. Okay, dear students, so listen to this audio presentation. I guess the points are very clear to you. If there is any doubt, any confusion, do let me know. Thank you, students. Thank you all.